The Treaty of Versailles, signed on June 28, 1919, caused Germany to pay reparations to Great Britain and France. They were forced to give up 13% of their land and take blame for World War I. As a result, inflation occurred, or the rise in general level of prices in goods and an economy over a period of time. Slipping into depression, Adolf Hitler took advantage of Germany's horrid economy. With disproportional numbers of wealthy Jewish business owners, Hitler convinced much of Germany that the Jews were to blame for the poor economic state. Hitler had two significant ideas that helped launch him into power. He had someone to blame for the economy, and he had a plan for a swift economic recovery. Hitler outlined a plan where in 4 years he would completely eliminate unemployment throughout Germany. Even though his plan was a plan that would not raise the level of income for the enrichment of the people, but an economic plan for military strength and victory, the German people were eager to see any economic success. Hitler used an extremely detailed and well-organized plan for economic revitalization. Through his method, Hitler was able to keep his promise of economic growth and begin his climb to power. Hitler had a plan to commit genocide, or the mental or physical harm to a specific ethnic group. This event was known as the Holocaust. It is estimated that 11 million people were killed during the Holocaust. 6 million of these were Jews. The Nazis killed approximately 2/3 of all Jews living in Europe. An estimated 1.1 million children were murdered in the Holocaust. The Nuremberg Laws, issued on September 15, 1935, began to exclude Jews from public life. The Nuremberg Laws included a law that stripped German Jews of their citizenship and a law that prohibited marriages and extramarital sex between Jews and Germans. The Nuremberg Laws set the legal precedent for further anti-Jewish legislation. During the night of November 9, 1938, Nazis pressed a pogrom against Jews in Austria and Germany in what has been called Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass. This night of violence included the pillaging and burning of synagogues, breaking the windows of Jewish-owned businesses, the looting of these stores, and many Jews were physically attacked. Also, approximately 30,000 Jews were arrested and sent to concentration camps. After World War II started in 1939, the Nazis began ordering Jews to wear a yellow Star of David on their clothing so that Jews could be easily recognized and targeted. After the beginning of World War II, Nazis began ordering all Jews to live within certain specific areas of big cities called ghettos. Jews were forced out of their homes and moved into smaller apartments, often shared with other families. Some ghettos started out as open, which meant that Jews could leave the area during the daytime, but often had to be back within the ghetto by a curfew. Later, all ghettos became closed, which meant that Jews were trapped within the confines of the ghetto and not allowed to leave. The largest ghetto was in Warsaw, with its highest population reaching 445,000 in March of 1941. In most ghettos, Nazis ordered the Jews to establish a Jewish council to both administer Nazi demands and regulate the internal life of the ghetto. Nazis would then order deportations from the ghettos. In some of the large ghettos, 1,000 people per day were loaded up in trains and sent to either a concentration camp or a death camp. To get them to cooperate, the Nazis told the Jews they were being transported to another place for labor. When the Nazis attempted to liquidate the Warsaw Ghetto on April 13, 1943, the remaining Jews fought back in what has become known as the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. The Jewish resistance fighters held out against the entire Nazi regime for 28 days. Although many people refer to all Nazi camps as concentration camps, there were actually a number of different kinds of camps, including concentration camps, extermination camps, labor camps, prisoner of war camps, and transit camps. One of the first concentration camps was at Dachau, which opened on March 20, 1933. From 1933 until 1938, most of the prisoners in the concentration camps were political prisoners or people who spoke or acted in some way against Hitler or the Nazis. Life within Nazi concentration camps was horrible. Prisoners were forced to do hard physical labor and given tiny rations. Prisoners slept 3 or more people per crowded wooden bunk with no mattress or pillow. Torture within the concentration camps was common and deaths were frequent. At a number of Nazi concentration camps, Nazi doctors conducted medical experiments on prisoners against their will. While concentration camps were meant to work and starve prisoners to death, extermination camps were built for the sole purpose of killing large groups of people quickly and efficiently. The Nazis built 6 extermination camps. Prisoners transported to these extermination camps were told to undress to take a shower. Rather than a shower, the prisoners were herded into gas chambers and killed. Auschwitz was the largest concentration and extermination camp built. It is estimated that 1.1 million people were killed at Auschwitz. The concentration camps were designed with what the Nazis called showers. These were designed structures for mass murder, with built-in poison gas vents and steam. The prisoners were divided into 2 lots at each concentration camp on arrival. The able-bodied men and women were separated from the older citizens and children. While the dependent group was sent to the showers, the younger lot were put to work for the upkeep and maintenance of the camps. The prisoners were made to maintain the campsite, while those who were specially skilled in some way, like seamstresses and blacksmiths, were put to tasks specially defined for them. The other able-bodied men and women were given random kitchen and cleaning tasks and even sexually exploited by the Nazi officers. Family members among the survivors were not allowed to interact. Timings were maintained for every activity from the wake-up siren to dinner time. The watchtowers in and around the concentration camps were manned 24 hours of the day. The prisoners were fed cruel, and second helpings were unthinkable. This meant work without sufficient nourishment. The scarcity of food and water for the prisoners were a contrary sight compared to the large spread at each meal on the German table. Loudspeakers were used to address the prisoners while men and women labored, ate, or were at the arrival of another lot of captives. German officers opened fire without hesitance on crowded barracks. The poor sanitary conditions spread disease and death. Most concentration camps were in forest areas, to make escape almost impossible. The camps were enclosed with stretches of barbed wire. The open areas were always in the center of the camp, while the wooded area shut the camp off from most air and land spies. Ditches were dug to serve as mass graves, and the captives were always stripped off clothing prior to being sent to the showers or pits. Hydrogen cyanide, or Zyklon B, was used to gas the Jews and Gypsies. Within the camps, the Nazis established a hierarchical identification system, and prisoners were organized based on nationality and grounds for incarceration. Prisoners with a higher social status within the camp were often rewarded with more desirable work assignments, such as administrative positions indoors. Some, such as the capos, or work supervisors, or camp elders, held the power of life and death over other prisoners. Those lower on the social ladder had more physically demanding tasks, such as factory work, mining, and construction, and suffered a much higher mortality rate from the combined effects of physical exhaustion, meager rations, and extremely harsh treatment from guards and some capos. Prisoners also staffed infirmaries, kitchens, and served various other functions within the camp. Living conditions were harsh and extreme, but varied greatly from camp to camp and also changed over time.